XJX99 says, did you talk to the therapist about how Nick is still so in love with you that he stalks your chat? This is probably going to hurt Nick's feelings. I do not talk about Nick with my therapist. I don't really have any thoughts about Nick. It's a person I knew briefly in my past. It caused a lot of pain and suffering in my family, as did my terrible decisions when I was around this person. I do regret getting involved, but then again, I don't, because it got me a lot of great things. Like I have a lot of really positive, awesome things in my life because that all went so wrong. You know, it might have got me away from other toxic people and brought me back to my family, and has certainly made me, you know, watching his miscues have made me a better father and a better partner. And I got into therapy after the whole thing, and that has been a godsend. I recommend it to anyone struggling. I don't think about him. I know that's not reciprocated, but I certainly don't talk to my therapist about him. Unfortunately, I know what this morning was. And I know because of not only knowing this person personally, but also observing them since. Something bad happened. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to do the dozens with Nick. Like I said, my life is far better with him never being in it. And so I'm not going to sit here and do the dozens and get into that. That's a losing predicament for me, I think, mentally, psychologically. I don't need to get mixed up in it. My relationship with Nick is where it needs to be in the past. So, like I said, I don't harbor ill will. I don't harbor anger, animosity, hostility, anything like that. It's just done with. It's just over, and it's in its proper context. I think I hurt this man. I think it's a weird thing to say, but I think I broke his heart. And I think he's still very upset about that. I think there's one thing people have noticed about him is that he hasn't really fully taken responsibility for anything he's done wrong. And I think a lot of that gets shifted onto me. I think he still very, very much blames me. Something bad must have happened, and he's spiraling a bit. He must have gotten some bad news or something bad happened in his life, because you see him respond this way, and you see him get very erratic when it's the ruling that went against him in the Monograph case, or, you know, bad news, you know, in personal life, family life, legal life, whatever. When bad things happen, a meltdown usually ensues. And I know it sounds corny, but I hope he pulls out of it. There's a lot of people that depend on him. And I hope he can pull out of it. It did seem like a hurt man lashing out. And again, I've hurt this man. I broke this man's heart. He obviously is still, all of his interactions online seem to center around me. And I don't think that's necessarily healthy. I don't think that's a good thing, but we're all on our own journey. And I think what you saw out of Nick today was a hurt guy. I think there's a lot. I hate to be this guy, but I think there's just a lot of stuff that probably goes back 35 years, maybe to like 6, 7 years old. You know, that's where a lot of our trauma is first established. Nick does seem to have a little arrested development. Maybe there's some things that need to be exercised, but he was not well today. And I hope he gets well, because like I said, there's people that depend on him. And being in your pushing your mid-40s and still doing things like this is never going to be a good place for you to be, physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever. So yeah, whatever went wrong for him today or yesterday or over the weekend or whatever, I hope he finds some kind of peace from it. And as far as today goes, yeah, that was heartbreak. That was a lot of anger and hostility coming out today. It was a lot of lashing out. And, I'm not going to play the wonder what it is game. Like I said, my life is better off with that in the past. But look, the guy's got a lot on his plate right now. The guy's going through a lot of shit. And he's also doing it while not coming clean that he ever did anything wrong or bad that he should be ashamed of. And you're never going to fully grow from that if you don't do that. But people in the chat saying jilted lover. I mean, it seems that way, but I'm not saying that to be insulting. I'm saying that because that's how it reads. That's how it looks to me. And then he's making excuses for a guy who says awful things about people's children. That's not exactly a good look as a father, and especially the things that he's charged with and the tests that we've seen that have come out and all that stuff. I don't know if that's necessarily a good judgment call as a parent. Well, I will say there's one thing I forgot to say about the Nick thing that I will address. Nick is very clearly upset with something that's going on in his life, and I have to pay for it. Nick is trying. Let me say this. Nick is clearly trying to goad me into saying something, harming myself, doing something that he thinks will be like He's never been the smartest guy in the world.
What?
And he's never been a great tactician. You know, he's not Hannibal.
But he's a lawyer.
He's not. He's not Hannibal. Yet when he shows up, he's not Hannibal, for God's sake. You know. So he's very clearly lashing out. And he's like, maybe Aaron will follow me and he'll say something. Matt, I'm not heartbroken.
No,
I'm not a jilted lover. I don't need to say anything. I just you're clearly going through it right now. Figure your shit out.